If you are looking at the Middle East right now, what you are seeing is not a victory lap. It is not a surgical strike followed by a clean exit. What you are seeing is an American president who reportedly bet everything on a 4 to 5 day war and is now staring down the barrel of a conflict with no off-ramp. Iran has rejected Donald Trump's ceasefire offer. 3 U.S. service members are confirmed dead. 5 more are seriously wounded. The Strait of Hormuz is at a standstill, with over 150 tankers anchored on either side of the choke point. And the Iranian regime, far from collapsing, has launched its 7th and 8th waves of retaliatory strikes across the entire region. This does not look like a mission accomplished moment. It looks like a controlled demolition of American strategic credibility in real time. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you exactly how we got here, why the intelligence community warned this would happen, why Donald Trump ignored every warning, and why the world you are living in today is measurably more dangerous than the one you woke up in last week. Imagine you have a business partner. Every advisor you trust, every analyst you pay, tells you that if you burn down your partner's office, you will not get a better deal. You will get a counterattack, a lawsuit, and years of chaos. But you light the match anyway, because you convinced yourself you know better than everyone in the room. Now your own building is on fire, and you are calling your partner begging to negotiate. How long do you keep pretending this was the plan? Hold that thought, because that is exactly what the Trump administration just did with Iran. Drop your answer in the comments. Did Trump walk into a trap of his own making? Or is there still some strategy here that nobody can see? Let us rewind the clock. According to multiple reports, Donald Trump's war plan against Iran was built on one catastrophic assumption: kill the Ayatollah and the regime folds. The planning window was reportedly 4 to 5 days. The theory was elegant in its simplicity: decapitate the leadership, watch the country fracture, offer a ceasefire from a position of total dominance, declare victory, move on. It would be quick, it would be clean, it would be the kind of footage that plays well on cable news. The problem is the CIA warned him it would not work that way. Intelligence analysts reportedly made clear that killing Ayatollah Khamenei would not disable the Iranian state. It would radicalize it. It would produce a more extreme successor. It would activate proxy networks across the entire region, from Yemen to Lebanon to Iraq. And it would transform what was supposed to be a contained operation into a sprawling, multi-front conflict with no clear exit strategy. Trump dismissed those warnings. He went with his gut. And his gut was catastrophically wrong. Receipt number 1, the ceasefire rejection. Hat tip to Ynet, the Israeli-based outlet that first reported this. Donald Trump, after launching what his administration branded Operation Epic Fury, reached out to Iran seeking a ceasefire. Iran did not just decline, Iran made the rejection public. The message from Tehran was unambiguous. Any ceasefire will happen on our terms, not yours. That is not the language of a regime on its knees. That is the language of a government that believes it holds leverage. Trump planned for immediate capitulation. He got public defiance. And in the gap between that expectation and that reality, American soldiers are now dying. We at the Midas Touch Network are referring to this as Operation Epstein Fury, because this administration's relationship with accountability is about as credible as its relationship with the truth. Receipt number 2, the casualty reports and the credibility collapse. U.S. Central Command confirmed 3 American service members killed in action and 5 seriously wounded. Open-source intelligence analysts have noted these casualties appear to result from Iranian ballistic missiles and one-way attack drones striking U.S. bases in Bahrain, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates. Here's the part that should make your blood boil. Several of these bases reportedly sustained far more serious damage than CENTCOM initially disclosed. The government told the public the strikes were not serious. Then we learned service members were dead. That is not a fog of war issue. That is a trust issue. When your own military command is understating the severity of attacks on American forces, you are not managing information. You are constructing a lie. The IRGC claims 560 American casualties. That number is almost certainly exaggerated. But this administration lies about everything, so the truth is buried somewhere between two competing propaganda machines. Receipt number 3. The Strait of Hormuz shutdown. Reuters confirmed that at least 150 tankers, including crude oil and liquefied natural gas vessels, dropped anchor in open Gulf waters beyond the Strait of Hormuz. Dozens more sit stationary on the other side. Iran has reportedly begun firing on oil tankers near the strait. 20 to 25% of the world's liquefied natural gas supply transits that narrow waterway. This is not a regional inconvenience. This is a global economic weapon, and Iran just armed it. While Trump was planning a 4-day operation, Iran was preparing to hold the world's energy supply hostage. One of those is a strategy. The other is a gamble made by a man who has bankrupted everything he has ever touched. If this story is connecting dots you have not seen assembled anywhere else, you are already ahead of most people watching this unfold. Hit subscribe right now. This situation is evolving faster than any single outlet can track, and you need to be here when the next development breaks. We are heading towards 7 million subscribers, and this is exactly the kind of moment where independent analysis matters most. Here is what most people are missing about Iran's response. Most governments, when their supreme leader is assassinated, would be expected to fracture. Iran did the opposite. President Masoud Pezeshkian appeared on state television and announced that the Interim Leadership Council is operational and has assumed constitutional control. His message was clear. We will continue the path of the leader with strength. Our armed forces are crushing the bases of our enemies. The IRGC announced waves 7 and 8 of what they call Operation True Promise, targeting U.S. bases across the region. They claim the Ali al-Salam air base in Kuwait has been completely disabled. Iranian strikes have hit targets in Bahrain, Kuwait, the UAE, and central Israel. In Beit Shemesh, at least 6 people were killed and 14 remain missing. A Shahed drone struck a French naval base in Abu Dhabi. Multiple explosions were reported at the Zayed port. A drone struck a UAE oil platform in the Persian Gulf. This is not a regime in collapse. This is a regime executing a regional retaliation playbook it clearly had prepared in advance. While Trump assumed the Ayatollah was a single point of failure, Iran had built redundancy into every layer of its command structure. That is the difference between a strategist and a gambler. The strategist prepares for the worst case. The gambler assumes his luck will hold. And the reach extends far beyond Iran's borders. In Yemen, massive crowds are calling for revenge. In Karachi, protesters stormed the U.S. consulate. American embassies across the Middle East are under threat. Western intelligence agencies have issued warnings about Iran activating sleeper cells. The FBI activated its counterterrorism task force in connection with a mass shooting in Austin, Texas, that left 3 dead and 14 injured, with officials confirming indications of a potential nexus to terrorism. The Ayatollah's influence was never confined to Iran. Killing him did not shrink the threat network. It metastasized it, exactly as the CIA warned. Now compare Iran's calculated response to what the Trump propaganda machine is producing. Trump told The Atlantic, and this is a direct quote, that Iran played it too cute. 3 service members are dead, and his analysis is that Iran played it too cute. On Fox News, Trump said, "Nobody can believe the success we are having. Nobody can believe it." Lindsey Graham was asked if the president has a plan to ensure Iran does not reconstitute as a terror state. His response was, "That is not his job." Tom Cotton was asked whether Americans deserve more than an 8-minute Twitter video after being taken to war without congressional authorization. He called the video outstanding. These are not serious people managing a serious crisis. These are performers staging confidence while the region burns. Contrast that with Democratic Senator Chris Murphy, who stated plainly that nobody in this country asked for war with Iran, that the president is obligated under the Constitution to seek congressional authorization, and that he would not get it if he asked. This is exactly why your media diet matters more right now than at any point in recent memory. And it is why I use Ground News. If you consume only right-leaning media right now, you would think Trump is winning a clean, decisive operation. You would not know that Israel is closing all crossings into Gaza, including for humanitarian aid. You would not know that the damage to U.S. bases is far worse than reported. Ground News is an app and website that pulls thousands of articles from around the world and organizes them by story, so you can see how the left, center, and right are framing coverage differently. You can filter for high factuality sources and see which outlets are independently owned. They even have a blind spot feed that highlights stories covered disproportionately by one side. We are offering 40% off the same Vantage plan I use for research. Go to ground.news/MTN or click the link in the description. It is one of the biggest discounts they have ever offered. So what does this actually mean for you? If the Strait of Hormuz stays blocked, energy prices do not just rise, they spike. Every barrel of oil that cannot transit that waterway gets repriced on global markets within hours. That means higher gas prices, higher shipping costs, higher prices on everything that moves by truck or ship. If this conflict drags on for months, the United States faces a serious munitions inventory question. And once the defense industrial base pivots to wartime production, those resources are not building roads or schools or factories. They are replacing the missiles being fired into a war that Congress never authorized and the American public never requested. Where does this go from here? I see three paths. Scenario one is a managed off-ramp. Back-channel diplomacy through Oman, Qatar, or possibly China brokers a de-escalation. Both sides claim victory. Trump says he eliminated the Ayatollah. Iran says it defended itself and extracted a devastating price. Some version of a ceasefire takes hold. But even in this best case, the structural damage is permanent. The Strait of Hormuz disruption has already forced global shipping to reroute. The precedent of assassinating a head of state has been established. Those cracks do not heal just because politicians shake hands. Scenario two is regional realignment. Iran's retaliation campaign continues at a persistent but manageable level. Gulf states begin hedging their bets. Countries like the UAE and Saudi Arabia, already skeptical of American reliability, accelerate relationships with China, India, and alternative security frameworks. A new architecture begins forming in the Middle East that does not include the United States at its center. American bases in the region become liabilities rather than assets. Once those relationships restructure, they do not restructure back just because the politics calm down. The influence follows the new routes, and it does not return. Scenario three is the escalation spiral. This is the one nobody wants to say out loud. Iran activates Hezbollah across multiple fronts. Strikes expand beyond military targets. Sleeper cells are activated in Western capitals. Trump, unable to accept a stalemate, escalates further into Iranian population centers. At that point, you are not looking at a regional conflict. You are looking at something that reshapes global order for a generation. And the man making those decisions is someone who planned for a 4-day war and could not secure a ceasefire on day one. Here is what I need you to understand. Whatever happens next, the old framework is finished. The assumption that the United States could launch a decapitation strike against a major regional power and expect immediate surrender has been tested in real time with real American blood, and it failed. Even if a ceasefire materializes tomorrow, every government on Earth is watching and learning the lesson. You do not fold when Washington strikes. You retaliate, you escalate, you activate your networks, and you make the cost unbearable. That is the new playbook. And the United States wrote it for them. Trump did not start this to make you safer. He started it because he surrounded himself with people who told him what he wanted to hear. and dismissed everyone who told him the truth. Now American soldiers are dead. The Middle East is burning. The global energy supply is fractured. And the man responsible is on television saying nobody can believe how well it is going. Did Iran outmaneuver Trump? Or did Trump outmaneuver himself? Is this the beginning of another American quagmire, or can it still be contained? And when the flag-draped coffins arrive home, will the people who cheered for this war still say it was worth it? Drop your answers in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe, because the next chapter, the congressional vote, the next IRGC wave, the Strait of Hormuz standoff, is coming fast. This story is not slowing down. Do not look away. New Midas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more at store.midastouch.com. This content is commentary and analysis for informational purposes only. It does not constitute financial, legal, or geopolitical advice. Consult qualified experts before making decisions based on the information presented here.